Hey y'all, Katie here with Team Evo AZ at eXp Realty. Thank you so much for listening to our show. We are super excited for this season. As you know, we are based in the Phoenix, Arizona area, but what you may not have known is that we're growing our team nationwide, and we have already started. So if you know of anybody that is looking to buy or sell throughout the country, no matter what state it's in, please contact us. We'd be happy to help. We'd be happy to offer advice. And if you know of anybody that is either getting into the real estate industry or is looking for an awesome change in their career and in their lives, we are also hiring real estate agents across the country. Thanks again and enjoy the show.
Hey everybody, it's Katie and
Matt
with the R.E.A.L podcast, and that stands for Real Estate and Life, where we, a married couple, sit here and talk about real estate and life.
Our life, pretty much, in a nutshell. Real estate and our life. Yeah.
Well, and how real estate affects your lives. Come on now. You don't want to hear all about our life, even though, I don't know, we have some good stories. But anyway, here we are today. We're with Ryan Gilliam again. This is our monthly market update, and it is actually the last episode of season 2. So this is episode 15 of season 2. Don't worry, folks. We're going to take a little break. We'll be back with season 3, and we'll continue with these market updates because they're informative and I like them.
Yeah, I think they're really good for everyone and for us. You know what I mean? It's just good information. And we get to see Ryan.
We get to see Ryan. Lucky us.
Thank you for having me again. Yeah.
Of course. Always a pleasure. So you kick it off. Tell us a little bit what's going on with rates. Have we seen any changes? Do we anticipate any changes? What's going on?
Yeah. So fortunately with rates, we've been seeing them very consistent. Basically what happened is with the new administration, the Federal Reserve, they took a look at the statistics and, the job growth just isn't there. It's still, when we factor everything in, about 10% unemployment right now, which is just too high. So what they're looking to do is continuing to buy mortgage-backed securities, which is what is keeping interest rates low. So they're committed to doing that for the foreseeable future, for most of the year, it sounds like. So because of that, we've been really consistent with interest rates, and we're hoping that that maintains throughout the rest of the year.
Awesome. Well, that's good for those that are out there buying.
Yeah, that's really good. Now, when they start making announcements like, hey, the interest rates are going to be low for the rest of the year, but are you still seeing like a lot of your people that are looking for loans coming forth because of like a sense of urgency, like, hey, I want to beat this loan? Or is it more about, hey, I want to get equity? You know what I mean? Are you seeing like the motivational factors for the people coming forward in getting loans from you?
I do. Yes, absolutely. Especially with, of course, we have a new president in office. That kind of sparks some people to think maybe that's going to change things, and maybe I need to get in before the rates update if the new administration is going to change rates. But for what we're seeing is they're kind of keeping the course. They're staying on track with what was previously discussed with the Fed, with the last administration, that they want to continue to keep rates low. So we do notice that where there's a little bit more of an urgency just because things have changed in Washington. But, fortunately, it should be pretty consistent for the rest of the year. But plus, a lot of people, I think, are seeing in the news how hot the market is right now. Mm-hmm. And kind of that fear of missing out thing where they want to get in before it gets too out of control. So, adding those two things together, I think, has led to, why we've probably, all of us have been so busy so far this year with everybody looking to get out there and start looking at homes.
Yeah. And with I think I might've mentioned this last time, but Michael Orr, we all know who Michael Orr is, the big real estate guru here in town. He put out a statistic, I want to say it was about a month ago, that he anticipates about 20% increase in appreciation over the next 12 to 15 months here. So I think that if anybody's aware of that, and I think a lot of people are, I think that's also driving the buyers out there right now wanting to get in while they can still achieve that amount of equity.
Yeah, no, and we're seeing it and feeling it. So I think if he made that statement a month ago, I think the actions of the market speak true to what he said. If we continue doing what we're doing, it's crazy out there. Now, as far as like hurdles that you're seeing as a lender right now, everyone's saying values, you know what I mean? Everyone's paying more than the home's listed for. And, Of course, anyone that's using a loan is dealing with appraisals. What are you seeing on your front right now as far as are appraisers seeming to be more adaptive to our heavily climbing market, or are they kind of putting the brakes on values?
We have seen them putting the brakes on values a little bit. As you guys know, homes are getting multiple offers. You have to go significantly over listing price, it seems, to get offers accepted. So we have been running into more and more situations where the appraisal does come in low. And so it's at a point where the cash is king. The people who do have the money saved are okay paying the difference between the appraised value and the purchase price. It's unfortunate, though, for first-time home buyers who are maybe taking advantage of grant programs, who maybe don't have that extra money saved, that are kind of missing out. When we get a low appraisal, sometimes we don't have a choice but to, unfortunately, walk away and try another home. So that's really what we're running into now. Appraisers are, still valuing properties based off of comps that were 3 months ago, and we are noticing that they're coming in a little bit lower. Have you guys been noticing that as well with your listings?
We've had it here and there, and then we've had some that have been under contract for 30, 45 days, and they come in even higher than what we're under contract for. So
that's amazing.
That's a fun situation when that gets to happen. But I totally understand where sellers are coming from. And that's unfortunately why some sellers are choosing not to accept, unfortunately, buyers that have FHA or have the down payment assistance, because they don't have the money in the pocket to make up the difference in the appraisal. And so the seller's just like, next, who's the next guy? Who's the next guy? They don't have to go down right now.
Oh, you're exactly right. Because I'm getting a lot of calls from listing agents on pre-approvals that we send out. And that's one of the first things that they ask. They say, hey, if the appraisal comes in low, can you verify that the buyer does have the funds to come in with the difference? So they're kind of anticipating that, it seems. And that's kind of a big selling point if they want to take the offer or not.
Yeah. And, I think this really points, I think, to the healthy incline that we're looking for. We always kind of look back at our playbook on what we experienced in 2006 to 2009, 10 in this area. And, it was so buttressed upon leverage, where right now we have this growth that's actually happening from cash.
It's real.
Where people are literally kind of, their magical water to the plant is actually good. It's not artificial, it's real. Exactly. And I think that's great for the market. Obviously, it's great for those that were financially stable and planned and put themselves in the position to make this deal. But I'm sure there's a whole other side of it. We have the first-time home buyers, and we have people that are really trying to enter this market. And I know that of programs to help that. Tell us about like some of the things. The administration just brought something up, the new administration, about a possible incentive to help out first-time home buyers. Tell us what your thoughts on that, the pros and the cons.
Yeah, so they are discussing, it was part of Biden's campaign, he was talking about a first-time home buyer, $15,000 credit. And this is similar to something with the Obama administration that was really popular. And it's a little bit different this time around because right now the market is so hot. And there's so little inventory. There's so much demand. A lot of the experts who are kind of consulting with Washington right now are saying, hey, now's not the time to do this. We don't need more demand right now. We need more supply. So if anything, we need less demand. So a lot of the experts are trying to say now's not the time to roll it out. When the Obama administration did it, it was needed at that time because we had just come off of a big recession. And, home values were at all-time lows. People were afraid to buy because, so many people foreclosed or short sold. So that's why at that time it was needed, because we needed to get more first-time home buyers and to start building up, more demand, start getting rid of the inventory. And that's why we saw prices increase so well since 2011. So a lot of people are saying now is not the right time to roll this out.
I have a couple of interesting statistics that I want to bring up, me and my slides. And it's funny that you had mentioned about the price increases since like the 2010 era to now, because I actually have some slides on that.
This is going to be interesting.
Right? We didn't even plan this, Ryan. So I actually compared 2010 to 2020 because 2020 is the last full year that I could. So check this out. This is 2010. Okay, so total sold 90,101. And it kind of goes through the volume. But what I thought was super interesting is your sale price average. 170,728. Do we not wish for those days again, people?
So low.
Right?
Part of me does, part of me doesn't.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. And then let me get over to my other slide here.
Like we need a drum roll. Let's see where it's at right now.
I know. What do you think? Do you have any guesses, Ryan, of what the sales price average is for 2020?
Oh, wow. 230, 250 maybe?
394.
Oh my gosh, I wasn't even close.
That is insane.
That is up from, that's only 10 years. And that is up from 177.28. Of course, that is just like an average of everything altogether, right? So single family homes might be a little bit of a different number if we're only doing single family or, vice versa.
And volume levels. I mean, that's another really big contributing factor too, because we remember, back in 2010, banks were holding everything. Yep. A normal transaction period was probably 4 months because it was short sales were involved. There were so many different indicators, but the value right there.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
I mean, yeah. And if we look at the total sold, remember in 2010, we sold 90,101 homes, okay, for that year. Check this out, 105,374. So kicked up, a good 15,000 homes there. So
yeah, which
it's quite a bit.
It is quite a bit, and
I was looking at the days on the market. What were the days on the market for 2010?
2010 cumulative is 96, and cumulative for 2020 is 50.
So they're both almost 100% increase, on both sides of it. And
yeah.
I think those two kind of correlate. Wow.
Isn't that crazy? So I got another fun slide, and then I know we have a few other things to talk about, but me and my fun slides. So this is why we don't necessarily need any buyer stimulus here anyway.
And that's another reason you're bringing this up.
Correct.
It kind of sounds like, based on what Ryan was just talking about, do we need it? Do we not? This data that Kate's presenting is kind of her case on why we should maybe kind of pump the brakes on any type of government stimulus to an area of the market that doesn't really need it.
Doesn't need it. So do we see it? Yes, we do. Sometimes my slides get lost on my screen, but that's where we're at as of this morning, 3,202.
That's crazy low.
And that's all single family, valley-wide, from $0 to $1 trillion. That's all we've got, folks. $1 trillion. I haven't seen one for $1 trillion yet, just about. Here's what's under contract right now, which I think is super interesting also. 10,610.
Wow.
So that's under contract, UCBC, CBS pending. And that's what we have under contract. So it's considerable amount more than what we have active on the market, which I thought was pretty interesting. I got one more for you guys.
Okay, we got one more.
Got one more coming.
She's just sliding us up.
Yeah.
I need to start having some more visual aids, Katie. I need to step up my game here.
It's okay. Your beautiful smile is the best visual aid we can.
Right. Do you see the showings? Is that what I'm showing right now?
I can see it. Yes, I see your yes.
My picture up there and the showing time. Okay, I just want to make sure that you're looking at the right thing because Zoom is not telling me you are. But if you are, awesome. So, okay, so remember that number, 3,202 active single family homes on the market, right?
Yes.
Look at the number of showings. And this is just 1 month. So just in this price point from 300 to 399.9, there's like 41,000 showings in a month.
It's crazy.
And we know that that number, 3,202, is not just homes in this price point.
Right.
I actually drilled it down. There was about 800 homes in this one price point. and
Wow.
they're getting 41,000 showings in a month's time.
Oh my goodness.
Crazy. Means there's a lot of people. So considering all those numbers that Katie just shared with us, thank you for your slides, by the way.
You're
They were
welcome.
amazing. What was, I mean, now that we've talked about, first buyers that are trying to enter this market, we talked about things that could possibly be coming down the pike, why we feel that maybe artificial or government stimulus at this point is really not what we're looking for. And talking about a more organic, more natural, more, we'll say, not conservative, but a more financially prepared approach. What are some of like the advice that you are giving to your first-time home buyers as far as preparing, to make sure that they are not only financially secure to make the right decision? This isn't just a keeping up with the Jones scenario, but also preparing themselves to come up in such a competitive market.
Yeah, so we're really having a lot of discussions kind of about price point and budget. I mean, that's the first discussion I always have with all of our clients is, where do you guys want to be budget-wise, and how much do you obviously have available to bring as a down payment? And we are kind of, prepping them about how hot the market is right now. And we're really having that discussion how like I mentioned before, cash is really king right now, where you do have to have that extra liquidity if you're, hoping to get some of these offers accepted. So what we're running into with a lot of the first-time home buyers now is getting gifts from family members, where they're really having to step in and help out to really take advantage of this hot market. And I know the last thing we want to do, just, based off our discussion, is discourage people from buying just because they see prices have jumped up so much in 10 years. It's so competitive out there. And I know before the call, Katie, we mentioned that they're still predicting prices to continue to increase, right?
Yeah. So Michael Orr, he had said appreciation about 20% in the next 12 to 15 months.
Which is amazing.
I mean,
after as much as we've had so far, and it's going to continue, obviously. So we are talking with a lot of, first-time home buyers and their families that know now is still a good time based off of those statistics. That even though the market's really hot right now, a lot of people don't really see that bubble, and we can kind of get into that too, that we saw back in 2006 through 9. Mm-hmm. But so we are seeing a lot of that now, where we're having more and more family members helping out, because if appraisals do come in low, the only way to continue to move forward with the transaction is to come in with the difference. And really, we have to have some family members jump in to help out, to provide that assistance to help them get into their home.
I think the topic of discussing the differences between now and that time that you mentioned, the 2006 through 2009 to 2010-ish, is really important, because I think a lot of people are still a little bit scarred from that time. A lot of people did go through, we free fall to about 50% of values. So it was just a free fall.
Yeah, I've always said it's like PFSD, like post financial stress, disorder, because at the end of the day, whether you experienced it personally, but the biggest volume that we have right now are millennials. Mm-hmm. And millennials didn't really experience it firsthand, but their parents did. There's so many of them that saw their parents lose homes, saw their parents have that financial struggle. And that kind of was what calloused them to the fact of, we're just going to rent, we're not going to buy. Till they finally realize it's the best investment you can pretty much make.
Right.
So
there's a lot of talk about foreclosures. We're hearing it from everybody. And quite honestly, maybe it's different in other parts of the country. I don't know. But here, I pulled the foreclosure filings this morning. And this is not just single family, just condo. This is everything. There might be land in there, multifamily, whatever, but there's only 795 filings right now.
Yes.
795, extremely low in the Phoenix area, greater Phoenix area. And so even if and those might not all go to sale, right?
Oh, not even the banks are going to hang on to them.
The banks are going to hang on to them. The sellers might be able to reinstate the loan and, get up to speed, up to par, and take their home back or their property back. So not all of those are going to go to sale. Even if they did, that number that I just showed you would bump up to 3,900 available homes on the market. And that's that's being generous. So I don't think we have a foreclosure problem here like we did back when we were free falling.
And I think that's kind of just goes in the coattails of what you're saying, as far as like people reflecting on the past. They're just wishfully thinking. And, you know, I mean, hey, if that's what's making you stay off the side, I mean, to the sidelines right now and waiting for it, that's probably good, because we need some sort of force to keep some people on the sidelines. Because
well, we do. Landlords still need tenants, I suppose. So
Right.
So, you know, I think, yeah, if you're focusing on foreclosure, especially in Arizona, it's not going to happen. I'm willing to bet on that, especially for at least the next 24 months. And even after that, you know, I mean, what we're seeing now is we're seeing banks have now had a chance to create a playbook. So even if we did experience something like we did in 2008 happened because the banks didn't have a playbook. Right. They didn't know what to do with inventory. They didn't know how to streamline processes from short sale to auctions and all that. Now they do. Now they have algorithms. They have everything ready to go and fine tune. We will just never see what we saw in 2008. I don't think it will be like that.
I think they learned their lessons. And you know, this time around, banks were very proactive, especially when COVID hit, to roll out their forbearance plans. And of course, the CARES Act rolled out. And so the main difference, obviously, is that we're prepared. You know, the people who need help are getting help. And the payments that we're skipping for now, you know, they're being added on to the loan. But that's okay, because inventory is so low, appreciation is so high, they have enough equity in there that when they sell their home, it's really not going to make that huge of a difference. So, you know, adding that to, you know, a lot of people are asking me, like, hey, are we going to have a repeat of what happened? And we're really not, because back in 2007, 8, and 9, the majority of the loans were adjustable rates. They were short-term adjustable rates, and they were stated loans where people really didn't have to prove that they could afford the home. And at the same time, inventory levels were rising significantly. They were about 3 times higher than they are right now. Right. So it was just kind of a perfect storm of things hitting back then. And now inventory is low. The majority of the loans that we're doing are 30-year fixed, and you have to prove you could afford the home. There's no more stated loans available. And so there's equity. So a lot of equity. Obviously, you saw the past 10 years to jump up that high. I couldn't believe that. You know, it's funny because my average loan size is about $250, because we work mainly with first-time home buyers, you know. so it was incredible to see it that high in the 390 range. But yeah, so, you know, I wouldn't be afraid of a repeat of that, because everything that we have right now is protecting against that. And all the numbers only showing that appreciation is going to continue to go up, like you mentioned, Katie.
Yep, 100%. There are some particular areas of the valley that I'm finding somewhat interesting right now. Specifically, yes. Specifically out west. West is just popping. I mean, last year we saw Surprise really get on the map. Surprise in Peoria. I mean, you couldn't, I know, you couldn't find a property over there to save your life. I mean, you know, it started way back beginning of last year. Even before that, it really started popping out there. Right now, Goodyear is on my radar. I'm seeing some really affordable homes, really nice affordable homes getting snapped up over there. Only a matter of time before that starts going up. Right now, it's really affordable. Glendale is also on my radar. I think, you know, this is something that Matt mentions a lot in our team meetings that we have with Team EVO-AC, but it's following the money. Because these people that build these big Top Golf stadiums and stuff like that, like they have teams of people that are out there figuring out, okay, where is a good place to sustain. I mean, those Top Golf, I think it's like a $50 million facility per. It's 15 or 50, one of the 5s. I think it's 50, But it's a chunk of change no matter which one you pick. 15 million is still quite a chunk of change. But these are state-of-the-art facilities that are being put in, and they have to be in an area that's going to sustain this type of activity, right? And I feel like Glendale area is really starting to pick up some steam, especially around the Cardinal Stadium.
And absolutely. And it's funny because I wish slide Katie had the slide from 2006. And I don't know if you remember this, Ryan, but like when they were doing their 20-year plan on where they thought the valley was going, and before they built the stadium and all that. And that was the thing. It was like in 10 years, Glendale, the West Valley is going to be the hub of Arizona. And, you know, you fast forward now 20 years, which is a trip, 15 years. And here we are at, you know, I mean, we're literally kind of seeing these areas finally, pop. But, you know, it's just Valley wide. You drive any freeway right now leaving Valley Metro and you see new builds in areas that you're going, really this far out? You know, if you drive to California, if you drive up to 17, if you drive up to 60, you're seeing new builds now where it was just once desert, you know, for 20 minutes of driving. Now it's communities. It's all good stuff. And I think, those areas are good to focus on. Another one is
good old Ahwatukee. We've been saying this. We're gonna like be famous for this, I think, Matt, because we've been saying this for the last year. Ahwatukee's gonna make a comeback, and now finally we've got some good news to support it.
Well, I think, you know, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff that's coming out. We're looking at numbers here as far as what's available, how fast they're selling, how fast we've went up in values compared to other parts of the valley, and all the metrics are there that, wow, this is great. After they put in that 202. So this 202 thing is strange too, because what's happening is they this 202 finished in 2020. And one of the biggest reasons for the 202 is obviously access to the West Valley, access to the stadiums, access to places we didn't have to worry about social distancing. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden, boom, COVID happens and the 202 is kind of forgotten. It was kind of this purpose that no one really said, well, we don't really need it because we're staying at home. I think that the value of that freeway is going to slingshot in the next 5 months, especially as when everyone, you know, emerges from their COVID cave, and it's going to bring it up. Then you have things like we get our little Ahwatukee Foothills News,
because we live there.
See it, but anyways, and you know, it's interesting. There's a tract of land around 19th Avenue and Pecos between 19th and 27th. Beautiful desert area, a lot of hiking trails. People in the area are a little mad, but they're talking about putting up 1,050 houses in that area, which is amazing. It's on the freeway. It's perfect. You know what I mean? A great place to do it. Then you have the Gila River community right across from Pecos. If anyone's driven down the 202 or Pecos and you look off and you just see this giant tract of land all the way to the mountains, almost to the 347, well, they're talking about doing a 3,300 acre sports entertainment complex. You know what I mean? They want to rival that of Scottsdale's. So when you start talking about putting in stuff like that, it's now really taking a lot of attention to this valley. They're also talking about being the first Indian reservation to actually kind of, we'll say, tiptoe in the gray area to do mixed use and actually do residential. In Arizona, that's one of the rules. Indian reservations cannot do residential real estate. They can't have residential development. Well, these guys have kind of come up with a way that they can. So it's going to be interesting what they roll out. But this whole little sector now, we're talking huge development in the next 2 years. So
you got the Phoenix Rising Stadium now right down that area too.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
all the soccer fans out there.
Yeah, correct. So you know what I mean? I just do see that little pocket of this side of Phoenix really, really exploding. So we're biased. We love Ahwatukee. I love it because it's quiet. Everything that I just talked about really kind of contradicts why I love it, because it's not going to be quiet anymore. But it is what it is. We you know what I mean? That's why we live in the city. So yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, no, I think that was a lot of information, and that is quite the market update.
We like to end on a bang.
We like to. That's right. That's right. It's our grand finale episode. But don't worry, folks. We'll be back. We're just taking a teensy weensy little break, and we'll be back at it with Ryan monthly for our monthly updates, and then with wonderfully fantastic and interesting guests in between. So definitely stay tuned. We will be back, everybody. If you could, we would love it if whatever podcast platform that you like to listen to, if you would please subscribe, download, rate us. We love that because then it helps us get the real news. See what I did? To the real people, right?
Yeah, listen to what she's saying.
All right, everybody. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.